And we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to the Omakase Show webinar series. My name is Wowa Orowana Yara. I'm hosting this series, and before we start, I just wanted to remind you that you can always support our show by going directly to Twitter, the show, and if you see this cash button, you can click on it and send your donations in Ethereum. Highly appreciate it, as it helps us to make our show better quality-wise. So today we have quite an interesting episode. We have here Nina and Brooke from Silk. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourselves? What do you do and how you got into this kind of like creative field?
Sure, I'll let Nina go first.
Oh, thank you. Well, hi everyone. My name is Nina Knaak. I'm a contemporary art historian, and I've always been fascinated by the way that artists hold up a mirror to society, and how they reflect and distort and often anticipate what's unfolding basically around us. What compels me most is, not only what art has been as an art historian, but especially what it's going to become. And that's also why I find the whole Web3 art world fascinating, and really seeing artists as sort of these cultural pioneers, especially when it comes to the new technologies. For me, artists are often the first ones to grasp on what's happening out there, and also what the emotional or philosophical potential is, and also the downside maybe, long before the broader society actually catches on. I think we should look more to artists as leaders, and I see it as my role to sort of be a bridge between maker and perceiver. So I do a lot of writing on art, and I also do the content for Silk, so that's why I'm here. And so the artists can keep focusing on creating, and we bring their stories to the world.
Incredible.
Hey, so I'm Brooke. I joined the crypto space in 2016. My background is I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I started through my journey through crypto. I started collecting digital art in 2020. Met loads of interesting people during that time. Experienced some good things, some bad things in the art space, and we just wanted to use those experiences so I could myself build something alongside a few other co-founders at Silk, something that would help, elevate the quality of output in the space, whether that's in the form of events, art drops, content, all processes that will help attract more people to our world. So rather than being on the wings and saying, "Hey, you guys should do this, you guys should build this," I'm now taking it upon myself alongside a few others to try and elevate the space to a higher level. So that's what we're doing with Silk. So I'm excited to share with you guys what we're up to.
Incredible. You kind of gave us a preview about Silk, but I guess, Brooke, this question would be to you. If you can just kind of elaborate more on what you do and how it all works and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So so the way Silk started, we started as Silk Road. We had an event in Istanbul back in September. The idea was basically to, we went to loads of NFT conference during our time the last 3-4 years. And one thing we loved the most about the NFT conferences wasn't the actual conferences itself, was the side events. So we wanted to create a great big side event in the form of Silk Road, where, we could forge in real life relationships with artists, curators, builders, because we felt that one thing this space lacks is that connection with the artists, because you see them through an anonymous name, or you see them through the screen, and it can be quite a fickle relationship. So with Silk Road, we wanted to bring that human touch to it and allow people to forge deeper relationships, which is, that's something that's helped myself a lot in terms of collecting. And then we had that, which went very successfully. And then off the back of that, we launched Silk, which is the digital art house. The idea behind Silk is that we're trying to add we're trying to add more substance to works that are dropped. We're trying to add context to these works. We're giving artists more resources to do what they need to do, whether that's in the form of curatorial help, production budget, and real life activations. we're giving the resources to the artists to maximize their ability, and we're helping them with other things that they may not be so great at. This is just part of a process, as I said, to like trying to elevate the digital market as a whole to a level where people outside the space will look at us and be like, actually, there's some really good things happening here, and the level of execution is really high. So that's what we're trying to do with Silk.
Thank you so much. So I just want to directly dive into your chapter to zero, which is basically an incredible exhibition happening in Bali this May. And the curation is incredible. So kind of asking Nina on the curatorial process, because the artists that you are showcasing are just like insane. And I feel like it was the job of art historians. So yeah, can you please tell us a little bit about the selection process and the exhibition itself?
Yeah, and just to give a little bit more context, so we started Silk as an art house in a digital age after, like Yusuf said, or Brooke said, that we are doing like these sort of side events, but we have the chapters and the days. So the first chapter was in Istanbul in September, and then we had a day in London last February with Keke's Genesis drop, and now the new chapter, so chapter 2, will be in Bali indeed in May. And the chapter is really like a global event series with in Bali, the curational team, the curational theme is art in the digital age, and we've called it a new dawn because we're sort of witnessing a shift in how digital art is discussed and how it's understood nowadays. So it's no longer only about the tools, whether something's made with AI or with code, for example, but it's more about what the work communicates. So this chapter really explores how artists are reflecting on our time through digital means and in ways that are way more nuanced and also sometimes contradictory, but always very deeply intentional. So for this curation, we really looked for artists that complement each other, but also really are sort of almost opposite, but they're all focusing on either new tech or working with tech in a different way that you don't really see a screen. But for example, A.A. Murakami, the artist duo, is working more with technology in their installations, but you don't actually notice that it's tech art. So we wanted to make a lineup that is very broad in its range. Although I haven't been there since the very beginning when it all started with the preparations for Circo Bali. So I think Brooke can definitely tell more about the start of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty well summarized by Nina. Just in terms of for what we did for Istanbul, we focused on a very niche theme, which was the emergence of AI art. And we brought together some of the biggest projects in the space that represent AI. We've got Fellowship, Botto, Cyborg DAO. And it was really cool. It went great. What we were trying to do with Bali is it's a 5-day event, so slightly longer than the 3-day format that we had in Istanbul. And we're trying to make an all-encompassing event. So you'll see photography, you'll see abstract works, you'll see video, you'll see AI, you'll see generative stuff. And the reason why is the sort of people that we're attracting to the event. We don't want to see ourselves as just like a Web3 event. We're attracting curators, collectors, and artists from the traditional worlds as well, who may not know that much about NFTs or digital art. And this is a 5-day event for them to see what we have to offer as a space. And we think, maybe some people might disagree, we think we've picked people that do the market justice. And we're very, very proud to have all these people with us. So it's just a great way for people to see what's happening in the space, and it's a great way for I don't know, for collectors, me coming from the collector world, just to see who these artists are, like what are their stories, what are their working processes. So we think we've done well in terms of like covering the market as a whole.
Definitely. And so this is just my curiosity. I was organizing a few digital art exhibitions, and this thing with digital art is that it is always tough because you always have to secure digital screens. And I got curious, considering the amount of artists you would be representing, how are you showcasing art? Is this immersive space, or is it a digital screens? And yeah.
So, one thing we're lacking right now in the space is being able to experience digital art in the way it should really be experienced. Like, obviously, you have screens, but the screens that we have don't really do it justice, which is, I think, is a major downside, and it doesn't do our artists any favors. What we did in Istanbul is we collaborated. With a company in Istanbul and Nike, and they hosted this massive interactive like studio where we walked in and the art would show itself in all four corners of well all around the room. And what we'll be doing in Bali is obviously we'll have digital screens, but we'll also have physical prints up as well. The likes of TGA will be doing a live performance. We'll also have some installations happening. So we're exploring several different formats. We'll also have a workshop. People will be able to get involved alongside an artist in co-creating the work with them. So there's different formats that we'll be able to explore. So I don't think people will be walking away from Silk Road Bali thinking, "Wow, I didn't experience that art." Like they'll get a true experience. And so yeah, it's not a case of just exploring digital. Digital artists have a lot more to offer than just showing you their work on a screen.
There is definitely a major issue. Even to my experience last year, I was in London and I went to Sotheby's auction house, and they were showcasing CryptoPunk as an like printed image on a wall, which looked totally bizarre because it is obviously an auction house, and I bet they have a budget to put a normal digital screen, not just print an NFT and put it on a wall. So yeah, it is quite hard to navigate and create this like good immersive experience with digital art. And so yeah, you kind of touched upon already uniting digital and physical art, kind of creating digital experience. But can you elaborate more on this? I know that this is a part of the mission that you are working on at Silk.
Yes, absolutely. It's really at the heart of what we do. So, Silk Road Bali will unfold across 5 days, of course, and like Brooke already said, the program will integrate physical installations and immersive digital works and live performances, and especially also within settings that themselves are part of the curatational gesture, basically. So, yeah, it's really important that we are going to create spaces for these like embodied collective experiences of art, to really be able to start a dialogue around it. In a way, you could sort of say that Silk Road is, when I think about it, it's sort of part summer school that you had in uni. It's also part festival. It's part symposium, like conference. And in many ways, it's just like a very kind of pressure cooker for our ideas in like the good way. So like over the span of those 5 days, we want to create a space where artists and thinkers and builders and collectors and curators, technologists can just come together, and not just to present or observe, but also to truly engage. So you're not only just a participant looking at the art of the artists. We're not interested in like sort of passive spectatorship. So we want to really build a setting that invites critical thinking and deep conversation and shared experience. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh yeah, Brooke, go ahead.
I think Nina covered most of it, but I think what's interesting from a collector's perspective, I know I alluded to it earlier, but like viewing an artist's work is one thing, but actually getting to know the artist is also, in a way, a physical representation of their art as well. So when you're talking, there's a photographer that's coming called Samantha Cave, who's one of my favorite artists. I actually didn't start collecting her work until after I'd met her and got to know her, and then I resonated with her work a lot more after that. After those conversations, and this is what Silk Road Bali is doing, because the format is it's only 120 people, but we've done that with intention, because over 5 days, if you're going to a big event, you might speak to someone once and never see them again. But with Silk Road Bali, you're going to see them every day for 5 days. You're going to have food with them. You're going to go to panels with them. You're going to be going to cocktail events with them. You're going to be having brunch with them. You're going to be going to a local gallery with them. Like, that allows you to build rapport with these collectors, curators, artists, whoever they are. And after 5 days, you've forged some good relationships where people will be able to understand your art and your process a lot more. and that in itself is worth quite a lot in this market where, as I said to you, the relations can be quite fickle. So that, and when we're talking about the physical experience, that's also what we mean.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's quite new format that you're kind of proposing. And I got curious. Obviously, Bali is highly evolving, incredible place. Can you tell me a little bit, kind of like behind the scenes, when you were deciding where to do this chapter 2.0 and why you stopped with this concrete location? I do believe it is amazing and it matches digital art exhibition in all ways. So yeah, can you just tell us why Bali?
Yeah, sure. So me and Dina, one of the other co-founders of Silk, we actually live in Bali. And when we decided to do Istanbul, firstly, one of the other co-founders, Ekin, had lived in Istanbul for most of his life. So we wanted to start off with events initially where we knew the city or the area really well, because that's the best way to throw a good event, is by knowing all the best restaurants, all the best galleries. So with Bali, Dino's lived there for a little while now. I've lived there for just under 6 months. It really is a hotbed of there's a lot of different cultures mixing in now, because people from all over the world come in, and there's a lot of artists, a lot of creativity, and culturally it's very enriched. It's a beautiful, beautiful culture, and we think like to do our artists justice, the locations that we've secured to do these live performances, these exhibitions, these panels, is really hard to get in different parts of the world. The other thing is, we know there's a presence in Asia in terms of artists and collectors, but and we know Omakase Show is playing a big part in that as well. But we do think like they need even more of an opportunity to engage with other people in the space. So the reason why we picked Asia is we think Asia is relatively untapped. As I said, there's a lot of talent and a lot of amazing people in Asia. So this is our way to like expand on that. Try to forge new relations with people that live in Asia and see what sort of talent there is out there. So rather than all these big NFT events happening in New York, happening in Paris, Lisbon, we wanted to bring something to Asia. So we could make some friends in Asia and see where we could take this.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like traditional art markets already kind of are dominating in Asia. For like 5 years, Christie started opening their, different departments in Asia, in Hong Kong, and things like that. And I feel like it's only now that kind of digital art world starts to get into this region too.
I mean, some of the biggest. Sorry, well, I'll just you made a very good point there. Some of the biggest buyers of contemporary art the last 15 years are buyers based in Asia.
Yeah.
There's a real appetite for contemporary art in Asia, and also having traveled around Asia quite a bit, I think I don't know why it is, but they seem to be a lot more receptive to digital art and Web3. I think it's because they're looking for opportunities, they're looking for new formats, they're new ways to get themselves out there. Whereas I'm from London, and it's a lot harder to have these conversations with my friend in London. They're a lot more like they have their own ways and they like to follow it. Whereas in Asia, I think people are a lot more receptive to new ideas, especially amongst the younger generations. So we think that'll work well for Bali as well.
That's a really good point. I feel like I've been staying in London and doing something art related in London too. And there is a way how it is done, and you kind of have to follow. And I think with Asia, there is a big creative potential because you don't have like strict rules and traditions regarding this. So basically, I have your website here on the screen, and the next question would be, how can I get involved? For instance, let's consider we have artists, collectors, visitors. What are the ways they can get involved? Like all the 3 groups of people who would be joining the event?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody can get involved if you're interested in tech, if you're an artist, if you're a builder, collector, curator. I mean, with regards to the lineup, we're almost, we almost filled all the slots basically, because we're intentionally reaching out to artists to make sure that we have a good mix, like we just spoke about. But yeah, if you go to our website and you click on the get tickets here or the link, you go to the Luma page and everybody can sign up. But yeah, we're intentionally keeping it intimate. So 120 participants only, really to ensure that everyone present is going to be deeply engaged. And yeah, if you'd like to attend, you can register for a ticket. And in general, down the line, we're always open to like discovering new voices, because yeah, our scouting is going to be ongoing, and this will not be the last Silk Road. And we want to actively incubate new talent. So yeah, we just don't want to just present artists' work, but really investing in artists' futures. But yeah, for Silk Road Bali, we pretty much have that lineup ready. But for next editions, we might still need some other voices. And otherwise, yeah, we'd love to have you there.
Yeah, one
Incredible.
other thing I'd add to what Nina's just said. I think from the perspective of an artist or curator or a collector, I know we pretty much filled our slots for artists, but I think where the artists will gain the most value for once we've selected and from the other ones attending is actually just talking to people, whether that's through brunch, at panels, at exhibitions. That's where the real relationships will forge. So there's a lot of value in attending. It's not like you're going to a massive NFT event and you can just like kind of just keep yourself to yourself and like by the end of it, you've not actually spoken to that many people. Here it's a very like informal situation, very late. Imagine you're going to like some sort of a laid back party. That's kind of how we're doing it. And with a ticket, you get access to the panels, exhibitions, brunches. There are some dinners, cocktail events, and a party at the end. So there's a real like good feel atmosphere. So if you are like deciding to come and understand that there is a lot of value to be had. So yeah.
And so basically, I want to put this question this way that you are the people who obviously kind of curate the open calls or just like select artists you want to showcase on your events. If you were to create some tips for an artist, so they would have this kind of like tutorial on how to get in, how to be accepted by the open call, what would those tips be?
Should I go for this one or Nina?
You go.
Okay. So as it pertains to Silk Road, I don't particularly know. The reason why I say that is because a lot of the artists that we've handpicked for Istanbul and for Bali, a lot of them we know personally. What I mean by that is we've collected from them, we've spoken to them, we've built relationships with them, we've seen them at events. So the best way to potentially do it is to actually come to one of these events. Let's get to know you, see what you're about, and then who knows from them. But that's basically what I would say. And if you can't attend any of these events, I would say just continue doing what you're doing in terms of pushing your art out there. And then if you're loud enough, then you'll be within our periphery. But the best way to do it is just to put yourself out there, go to these events, and then get to know us personally, and then yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think I would like to add to that what Broke is saying. Like, if you show what you're about, then that's what we find interesting, because we're looking for artists that have a narrative going on. What's their story? What are they trying to tell the world? And then we want to help them tell that story and give it more visibility to a bigger group of people. But as long as you have interesting ideas, that's and then we want to just bring together as much different ideas as possible in one showcase.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and so the final question that I normally ask for an end. However, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you will have something that you can share regarding this. So basically, what are some upcoming things you're working on right now? Obviously, the chapter 2.0 in Bali, but maybe something else you want to hint us and give us a preview.
Yeah, no, definitely. We can already say that we're also preparing a day event during NFT NYC. So that's going to be in June, end of June, probably the 26th. And then we'll dive deeper into some of the ideas surfacing at Silk Road. And beyond that, more chapters are probably going to be coming in different parts of the world with different themes.
Yep. One other thing I'd add is we're working very, very closely with a handful of artists, and there will be some drops coming this year. We're very, very careful to do drops with artists just because like my experience the last few years with a lot of marketplaces, and a lot of these marketplaces are amazing. They've done so well to get us to where we need to get to. But there hasn't been the necessary resources or help for these artists. Like a lot of these marketplaces are just checkout pages. Like you mint your work on there, and then you post a link to your Twitter, and then people will come and mint. Where we're not trying to do that. We are really spending a lot of time with artists. We're trying to get to know them, see what their process is about. Give them some sort of resources and budget in terms of production, so we can tell their story. But that means we can't like work with hundreds of thousands of artists either. So we're being very, very selective. But those we do have some drops coming this year that you guys can look forward to as well, in hand with the Silk Road events.
I feel the point 100%. This was actually on Tinek, the co-founder of the Omakase Show. He was definitely leading this project. But we also made an exhibition in Singapore and also kind of digital artwork release. It was a sculpture and print and also digital like twin of it all. And so basically it was a project that took from like autumn until today to kind of like get to the normal conclusion where we get the artworks. So what I'm trying to convey is that if you are trying to curate a lot of artists, it is almost impossible to make a good work and good quality of art and things like that. So I definitely feel your point about being quite selective with an artist you're going to do drops with. And so I want to thank you so much. I feel like it was quite dynamic, this episode. If you feel like there was something that you want to share and I haven't asked you yet about it, just you can use this moment to do so.
I mean, we're always open to ideas or feedback, whether that's in regards to Silk Road or Silk. Our email is team@silkarthouse.com, whether you want to ask about the event, whether you're someone in and around Bali and you have some questions or you feel like you could help with some sort of collaboration. We're always open to talking to people. So if you're based in Asia, hit us up.
Incredible. Okay, thank you so much, guys. And we are definitely staying in touch. Please keep us posted and we will be following you in the end of the May. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.